Hello and welcome to Osquery Office Hours for Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. We've got some of the crew here and notably missing Seth. And there's not much or anything really on the agenda, but I imagine maybe folks have some things that you'd like to chat about. Anyone have something that you've got? I guess one thing that will bring up is I have this PR 8251, which is currently just a refactoring of a couple of the tables that already exist. But the utility here is that this is using the APIs that are used by the macOS system profiler. And there's a bunch of other potentially interesting information available through that API. So there are tables that might be useful there. So that's like if you open system information, it's either system information or system profiler, depending on which macOS version you have. It's all the information that shows up there is potentially available. The reason why I did this is because we just needed to start reading this for the secure boot table. We were already doing it for the connected displays table, and now there's some fixes on the battery table for Apple Silicon, where an API just returns garbage data that used to work, but the data in system profiler or system information seems to be correct. So I wanted to use it there. That was kind of the primary motivation for it. But then there's a bunch of other interesting stuff that might be worth exposing in tables. Um, and so I wanted to throw that out there. One, to request that folks take a look and review that. And then two, consider if there are tables that you'd be interested in building, because they'll now be pretty easy to build tables that include data from the utility.
I'm kind of surprised we didn't already have that. I always thought we did, but maybe because we linked against a private framework, we never did. But yeah, this would be,
Well,
or maybe some
well,
tables use them individually.
yes, that's what it was. Until like a few weeks ago, the only table that used it was the connected displays table. Then to implement secure boot, I basically just copy pasted it and said if I needed to do it one more time, then we should do a refactor to do this. And then I realized I needed to do it one more time, and so did the
That's
refactor.
great. Yeah, this sounds good. There's a ton of information out there which is useful. So
Yeah, so I guess that's sort of what FYI, and also if folks could give it a review, that'd be cool. Not a huge rush on that, but I do have other work that I'd like to lay on top of it, and so it will help out a bit. I can do the work otherwise, but it would be nice to get it reviewed.
Zach, do we know like what gaps there are in what's reported in that framework versus what we already have in Osquery?
I've done some like casual looking at that, and things that come to mind for me are um, accessibility information. You can see like what accessibility settings are on. Someone told me that it's kind of common for help desk people to run into people who get their like screens zoomed in and can't figure out how to zoom them out, that kind of thing. So that was one that came to mind when I brought it up. There's there's other there's some other stuff that could be useful, like it's kind of an alternate way to get information about computers. Like right now we have cups destinations, and I don't think that I think that there's some different information available through this.
I think it also has like a richer data, so it actually gives like vendor IDs and serial numbers much easier than. Well, there was no other way to get some of those. Some
Yeah,
of
I
them
think
were in IOKit, but
yeah, I definitely think for a lot of things it might be like, well, we have the data mostly in Osquery already, but maybe there are parts that are missing or incorrect that might be more correct through this source. So I think that it is an exercise that anyone could take on to open up system information, compare it with what's returned by Osquery, and then we can start filing issues to build the tables. And the tables should be like relatively trivial to build, probably like an hour each for things corresponding to tabs in the system information. That's it for me. Anyone else have anything? I guess we can all get time back then. Oh, Shadow?
I don't really have just a question. Are we thinking of next release like end of Feb around that time or sooner
That
or
sounds good to
later?
me. I would
I
love
might
to
have a
see
couple
it.
of things I might try and get it in.
Yeah, I'd love to see it get cut at least by the end of February. Ideally out by the end of February. If there are things that folks want to get into that release, I think we should try to get them into review in the next week or two.
I can't think I can create a new milestone. Sometimes it's easier to kind of do that on GitHub and have it tracked there, but maybe someone else can or Seth can when he's back.
Oh,
Sorry, you said you don't have permissions for that, Charvel, or?
Yeah, to create a new milestone, I think.
You should have. So if you go in the issues page,
yeah,
you have milestones. And it's and 512 is there.
Oh, I see there is one already, actually.
Okay, I don't know why I couldn't. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
But I think you should hopefully have permissions for that, Charvel. Do you seem to now?
Yeah, I can see the 512. There are things there. I don't know why it was still just showing 511 and not 512.
Okay.
Weird. Oh yeah, and I can edit and create new things. Okay.
Cool.
I mean, the only other thing I can add, on Osquery, I am still working on that custom provider for OpenSSL to be able to use the system store for the certificates instead of having to access them on the file system. yeah, I can report also recently talked with our customers, and they have the same idea. So last time we discussed, I was wondering where to place exactly those certificates. I was using the current user store, but yeah, for user experience purpose, it's more common to want to have the local machine, so the system store to be used. So that's what I will be using now. Through these office hours last time, we talked about not adding additional flags to decide which method to use, and instead reuse the flags we have, like TLS client certificate and TLS server certificate, and use a schema there to select what you want to do. So for instance, use file colon // then the path to use the old method, and then hash colon, or then even yeah, I have to think of a name, but the more complex one with common name, organizational unit, maybe issuer, etc., to like more complex query to select a group of certificates. And yeah, the customer had the same like desire as you mentioned, Zach, to eventually rotate the certificates, so they likely more use this second way with more parameters to select a group of certificates. So yeah. But yeah, that's all. I'm yeah, getting closer to have something that can finally like that can work in the sense that it was working, but obviously it was not. It did not have the proper integration. It was just hard coded. So yeah, stay tuned, I guess.
Cool. Thanks, Stefano. Anyone else have something you'd like to get to? All right, shall we wrap it up then? Cool. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for coming today. I'll turn off the recording and we can drop.